Hey, this is Mike with Dreaming Tree, and in my latest project using the Taqueria that I turned into the Coffin shop, I edited or altered a lot of the elements using Shortcuts a Lot 5, and I wanted to show you how I did that. The first thing that I wanted to go over was resizing, so let me show you how quickly it is to resize a project. And I also want to show you the eraser tool really quickly as well. So I'm going to go over here to the left, and I do have the bottom coffin already imported. I did not use this element down here, so I'm just going to change this eraser to a square, make it a little bit bigger, and I don't need it. It's gone. All right. Let's bring in the coffin top here. There we go. All right, now let me show you how quickly it is to resize. I am just going to make sure that everything is highlighted. I'm going to go to Object, Transform and Scale, and I'm going to change this to the percentage, and let's change it to 50. And make sure Keep Proportions is checked, and OK. And that has been resized to 50% of the original. And now I simply need to go to File and Export. And I'm going to save this as an SVG. I'm just going to name this 50 for the sake of the tutorial and save it. This window is going to pop up. Because I am using Design Space, I want to ensure that Design Space Compatible is checked and click OK. All right, so I do have Design Space open, so let's go ahead and upload that image. Let's browse for it. Let's go to the coffin. And as you remember, I named it 50, so let's open that. There it is. Let's upload it and add it to my canvas. And there you have it. It is 50% of the size. I just need to ungroup it and then attach and attach. And that's a really quick way to resize your project. All right, so now let me show you how I altered and made the coffin door. Again, I just used the eraser tool to remove all the unnecessary elements. I'm going to highlight the original door. I'm going to go up here to Object and Break Apart. You're going to see that it looks like it just became solid, but if I move away this piece, now we have left these the cutouts. So I can delete this piece as it's no longer needed. And I'm going to highlight those, and I'm going to just group those together. You can right click and group them. And let's change this to a different color just so that it's easier for us to see. So black. Let's move this over here a little bit in place. We're going to drop it here. Now I made this a little bit wider, so I just highlighted the coffin, and just using the side arrow here, you can see I moved it a little bit wider. And I'm going to highlight both. I'm going to go over here to my Align tools, and I'm just going to align that horizontally there together to the selection. So that is both of the things selected, and they are centered, and that looks pretty good to me. The last step is to highlight both of them, go back up here to Object and Merge, and there is my brand new door. All right, so let's move on to the sign here. And so again, this is a really good example of using the Break Apart tool again. So I'm going to go up here to Object and Break Apart, and now we have this perfect object here. And we can get rid of the rest. And we have this great blank slate to work with. So using my text tool, I just came in here and typed in coffin. All right, so let's go over here to the top, and let's change that fill to black so that we can actually see it. There we go. It's way too big, so let's shrink this down a tiny bit. That looks good. Highlight it all. Go over here to the right, make sure they're both centered. Yes. And the last thing that I want to do before I merge these together is I really don't want the O to cut out. So there is a tool over here to the left, and it is called Stencil Bridge. And I'm going to click on that and zoom in here for y'all to see. All right, so now that I am in Stencil Bridge and zoomed in, there is a size indicator up here, and that's going to be how big the size is. And so as you can see, as I click and drag my mouse, that is going to be the width of that line. So if I wanted it larger, I can do so. But I usually keep it pretty thin. It is way too big. So let's do 0.05. That looks great. All right, so now that we are ready to use that, make sure you have your arrow selected and move. Oops, I have both of them selected. There we go. Now I can go ahead and use my stencil bridge and just draw through that as straight as possible. Let go, and you'll see that now that that has a cutout there. You could also probably use the eraser tool, but it's a little bit easier to use that one. Again, we're going to center these together. And lastly, we can go to Object and Merge. And there we have our new sign. All right, so we have our jolly jointed skeleton here in Shirkatsalat. Let's tackle the black pieces because they are going to be definitely a little bit easier to work with. So let me zoom out here a little bit. So I have them highlighted, Object, Break Apart. And I'm not using the little white pieces, so we are just moving the solid pieces to the right, and you're going to see all of those little holes that were there are left as little circles now, being left behind, and that's okay because we are not going to use those. I'm just going to highlight these and delete. So those are gone. So now let's go ahead and zoom in and work on the actual, the top part or the actual bones. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do on this one is go up to Object, you got it, Break Apart. Go ahead and tackle the rest of these. And so the first thing I want to do is remove those little, if you hover your mouse over here, you'll find the little circles. So I'm going to go through and remove all of those circles that were keeping the skeleton together. All right, now that I am done doing that, I can just highlight the rest of each of those bones and go up to Object and Merge. And we got those nice little shapes in there. All right, so now we have our pieces. So let's go ahead and assemble him. All right, so the first thing that we need to do is build the black portion of the skeleton here. And so let's do that. All right, so that looks good. You can pretty much build him or her however you like. At this point, I am going to group it so that this is all together and I don't accidentally move it. All right, so I just need to make sure that my white pieces are on the top. So with the black highlighted, I am going to arrange and send it to the back. And then we're just going to match up. Looks pretty darn good. Let's group it. Yay. All right, so now that we assembled our jolly jointed skeleton, I just went ahead and I resized it. So Object, Transform Scale. I believe I did it to 10%. And okay. All right, I forgot that I did not give him a hat, but let me show you the great thing about using a percentage tool to resize things. So as you know, I resized this guy to 10%, So let's resize that to 10% and it will still fit. So transform scale 10. Okay. That is sized, and I can move the hat in place. Much better. Okay. So now let's go ahead and file, export. Again, I'm just going to name this Jolly 2, save, replace it. Okay. And let's pop back into Cricut, upload, browse, Jolly jointed. And there he is. Let's upload it. Let's highlight it and add him to the canvas. All right, and I just need to highlight it and flatten. So you can just go ahead and follow your machine's instructions for doing print then cut. This will go ahead and cut along that cute little skeleton on the outside. All right, so I hope these tutorials were helpful and can't wait to see your completed projects.